So I've decided to do something I don't know. Well, I guess I've done some of in the way back time, but I'm going to do basically what will amount to a talking head vlog. This is the head, and it'll be the one that'll be doing most of the talking. No, I got it. Okay. Never mind. So I thought hopefully maybe it might be useful to some people who, particularly if you haven't been here before or haven't been here for any length of time, to get an idea of things that you might want to consider bringing with you and so forth when you come. So I've got some notes here down in front of me. Hopefully some of this will be useful to you. So this is not so much advice. This is what you must do, should do, blah, blah, blah. This is what I've been doing based on my experience here over the years in the province of Zambales, in a city of approximately 37,000 people, though it does seem smaller than that to me. I was here 4 years in the late 70s in Manila, where I was going to school at University Santo Tomas and the University of the Philippines. And of course I was here in the early 70s, stationed here, right here in San Antonio, Zambales, when I was in the Navy. And many trips made since 2008, several of which include 6-month stays. Now, I'm a person who tends to plan for worst case scenarios, so some of you may feel as though I'm not going to worry about that, that's never going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. I'm just, again, telling you what has worked for me. Okay, so let's start somewhere. I bring either bring or a lot of times here at the house, I know stuff is already here. A small first aid kit. Include your favorite pain medication, which, you know, whatever, aspirin, Tylenol, ibuprofen, Aleve, whatever works best for you. Band-aids, something for diarrhea, wouldn't be a bad idea. Itch/rash, creams, ointments, sprays, whatever. Sunscreen. The sun does shine here. Bug spray. There are bugs here. What have I got? Hat. Sunglasses. If you think you're going to be here during the rainy season, I would recommend some sort of rain gear and or an umbrella. You can certainly buy umbrellas here. I mean, that's not a big deal. But just sort of keep that in mind, that it will rain in the rainy season. Let's see. Depending on how long you're going to be here, you want to certainly have a supply of your regular medication, whatever that may be, in order to cover your duration of stay. You can get most medications that you'd be taking here from local pharmacies. Sometimes, depending on the medication, you may need to have a prescription, which wouldn't necessarily be that difficult to get, but or if you show them a prescription from the States, that might work. I can get my blood pressure medication, my I'm not diabetic, but I'm glucose intolerant, so medication for that, and my cholesterol medication and blood pressure medications. I can get all of that as needed by walking down to the pharmacy, and I'll say I need some losartan potassium, and they'll say, how many, sir? And I'll say 7 tablets, and you buy 7 tablets and off you go. Let's see. Now, keep in mind though, any opioids or stronger medications will certainly require a prescription from a physician, whether that's, I don't know because I've never had occasion to need that, whether you would have to have a local prescription as opposed to a prescription from your physician back home. Oh, yeah, some people recommend, by the way, that if you're bringing in medications, you should have a prescription that you can show customs when you enter. I have that, but I don't remember ever having to show that to anyone. So, just for what that's worth. I always bring or have access online to a copy of my glasses prescription, just in case. One of the dogs ate my wife's glasses, for example, and so that can happen. If you've never been here before, and certainly if you're going to be out in the province, I can't speak to city water, although as far as I know, back in the late 70s, I drank the water in Manila, I think. But I would recommend stick with the bottled water, at least in the very beginning. Bottled water, or soda, beer, whatever. You'll come across the vendors have a little setup with various juices. Could be mango, calamansi, lemon. I forget a couple of others that you see, and I'd stay away from those in the beginning also, because that's going to be made with the local water. Generally, what I do, of course, we've got the house and so on and so on, so it's a little bit different than if you're going to be either renting a place or being in a hotel or motel or whatever. Anyway, well, they don't really have motels, but a hotel or whatever. I generally start out with a few ice cubes made with the water from our pump, and then increase the number of ice cubes, and within a week or so I can drink water straight from the pump, no problem at all. I could probably do that. I've been here often enough, recently enough, that I could probably do that now, but I don't dare, because of an experience I had back in 1993 after a 14-year absence from here. I started drinking the water probably right away, and for 3 or 4 days I was sticking really close to the CR, or comfort room, bathroom. Here the bathroom is called a CR, or comfort room. Anyway, that was not all that much fun. If you plan to bring, for example, US dollars or dollars from wherever you're coming, and you want to go to a money exchanger, and I know this is true for US dollars, whether or not it's true for other countries' money, I can't say. But they will probably only take $100 denominations. The bills have to be as new and uncreased and uncrumpled as possible, and there can't be any writing on it. For example, this bill is pretty good. It's got a little nick here that might be a problem, but it is pretty good. However, there's writing on it, and so this is rejected by money changers. So what I do before I come over, and I want to get some money to bring with me, incidentally, that wasn't mine. I stole that off a guy. No, anyway, what I do is I go to my credit union and I say I need X amount in $100 bills, and I'd like them as new and pretty as possible. And they're very nice there, and so they give me what I need, and anything that I brought over, the changers had no problem with it. So continuing along on the money vein, so to speak, most credit cards and debit cards will probably work here in the Philippines in ATMs. I've had a little bit of difficulty this trip for some reason getting cash advances off my credit cards. That could be just my problem. But you know, Visa, MasterCard, American Express seem to be accepted in places. Let's see. Oh, yeah, don't forget, when you're punching in information into the ATM here, and it says, how much do you want? You need to put in the amount of pesos you want to get, because that's what you're going to get is pesos. They won't give you dollars, at least not in the ATMs that I'm familiar with. So you punch in the amount you want in pesos. So let's say, for example, that the exchange rate is 50 to 1 and you want to withdraw $1,000 from your account. Then you'll punch in 50,000 for the amount that you want. It's a little scary, but it's fine. And then you proceed from there. The ATMs look a little different, but they operate the same as back in the States. Oh yeah, depending on your banking institution and whoever issues your credit card, you may want to consider giving them a call before you start to travel. I had an instance back. I was down in Las Vegas, and I was going to rent a car, and my card was rejected, and I knew that was not right in terms of availability of funds and so forth. And come to find out, I hadn't let the company know that I was going to be traveling, and so they figured, well, he never buys anything in Las Vegas, he's in Vermont, so what's the heck's going on here? Somebody must have stolen his card. So I had to make a phone call, and it just delayed the process for a few hours to be traveling. As a matter of fact, I let them know that the cities and towns I'm going to be flying in and out of in order to get here. Okay. Cell phones. Okay, so depending on your phone, when you get here, if you want to be using your phone and data and all of that stuff, you're going to have to decide about your data plan and whether it will be prohibitively expensive for you to utilize that while you're here, or if you want to get a local phone, buy one here, or maybe your phone is unlocked and you can put a local SIM in. That's going to be totally your decision. I will mention you can buy any kind of phone you want here. However, keep in mind that if it says it's a Samsung or a iPhone or whatever, it may or may not be, depending on where you're buying it. Now, if you go into a one of the larger malls, which they have even, 45 minutes from where we're living, you're probably pretty safe with what you buy there. If you go down into the middle of town and you go to either here in San Antonio, or you go down to Longapo or someplace, and you go to buy a phone at a local place there, not 100% sure what you're going to be getting. Let's see. Oh, incidentally, so the local SIM cards, the Philippines now has a regulation, the requirement, whatever, that all SIM cards have to be registered. So when you get one, you're going to have a bunch of forms to fill out, and they'll want your name, local address, and color of your mother's maiden name or so. I'm not sure what's on the form because I've never gotten one since they've had that requirement. But that is something that will need to be done. They want to register every single SIM card in the country, and they had a date to do it by, which has since passed, and they're, I think, less than a third of the way there. But anyway, so what I recommend you do if you think you may need to get a SIM card is Google, YouTube, whatever, and do some research there and get information from somebody who knows more about it. One thing that I do know is when you get a SIM card, they'll ask how much you want to put on it in terms of load, and that'll be in terms of so many pesos, which will last you so much usage, whether it's data and or voice. And then when that runs out, or is close to running out, you can go down the street and some sorry stores, and certainly any place you go, you can reload the SIM card. It's a pretty simple process. Oh yeah, a lot of places around, well, not so much in town here that I'm aware of, but like down in Longapo, Subic probably, I'm not sure, certainly Manila. You can go places and buy Gucci, Louis Vuitton, apparel, and what have you. And again, may or may not be the real thing. I've seen some counterfeits that look really, really real. But then if you do a little research, you see, oh, well, Louis Vuitton really doesn't do it that way. He does it this way. So anyway, just kind of keep that in mind. Now, this is kind of important. Depending on your length of stay, if you think you're going to have to go to any government agencies, such as the Bureau of Immigration, which I just did a couple of vlogs ago, for example, if you think you're going to want to or need to, you've changed your mind, now you want to extend your tourist visa, you'll have to go to the Bureau of Immigration, and you must have a shirt with a collar, long pants, and closed-toed shoes. If you don't have those three things, you won't get into the office. Also, make sure you've got enough clothing for however long you're going to stay here. It can be, you know, if you, gosh, I need another shirt, or oh, I didn't bring long pants, I got to go buy some long pants. It's still, I find, can be difficult to find foreigner-sized clothing here. Filipinos are getting larger, and it's not necessarily a good thing, but they are getting larger in all dimensions, and so you have a little more choice than you did back in the 70s, but just sort of keep that in mind. To my knowledge, well, certainly in this area, there are no laundromats. You can't bring your laundry there and stick it in a machine and put in some coins and off you go. That does not exist. Maybe in the cities, I don't know. Here in San Antonio, if you need your clothes washed, which you probably will after a while, it's not too difficult if you've got somebody local you can talk to and say, hey, I need somebody to wash my clothes. They can hook you up with somebody to wash their clothes, and they do a terrific job washing and folding and ironing if they need it, and so on and so forth. In the larger cities, Manila, what have you, and maybe in Olongapo, again, I don't know because I haven't needed to experience that, you can, there may be a laundry that you would take it to an establishment and they'll wash it and you come back in a few days with your ticket. Okay, so if you're bringing computers, well, anything that needs to be charged, the electricity here is 220 volts. So be sure that any equipment that you bring and the charges that go with it will handle 220 volts, because otherwise things will fry. It may be in hotels, in the cities, maybe here in the province, I don't know. There may be places that have 110, but maybe not. So keep that in mind. Also, the receptacles for your plugs are two-pronged. So if you have a charger that requires 3 prongs, bring a couple of adapters that'll adapt your 3-prong to a 2-prong. Otherwise, you're going to be out of luck. Maybe we'll get some feedback on this. This is based on my time here in the early 70s when I was in the Navy. In the late 70s when I was in school here, and coming back several times since, I forget, 2008. So I've got a few years time here. Anyway, you can take it or leave it, but here's what I suggest, here's what I feel. I suggest one thing you do not bring is an attitude. You are the foreigner here, you're visiting their country, and as such, you need to give them the respect that you would expect from a foreigner visiting your country. You're not their superior. You may be taller, maybe not so much anymore, but you may be taller, but it's their country. Things do not work here the same as they do in whatever country you're coming from. That much, I can pretty much guarantee that. I don't care where you're coming from. Things don't work the same way here that they do where you're coming from. Go into things with the idea of, well, that's not the way we do it in my country. Well, correct, but you're not in your country. You're in their country. This is the way they do it here. There are many things that go on here that make little to no sense to me, so forth. But they say, when in Rome, do as the Romans. When the Philippines, do as the Filipinos. So I recommend you just sort of sit back, go with the flow, enjoy yourself. From my experience and from what I've heard from others, it's unlikely that you'll find a friendlier people altogether than Filipinos. So again, if you just sort of say, boy, that's a silly way of doing things, but that's the way they do it here, okay, well, cool. Enjoy yourself. And I think you'll have a better time than stressing about the way things are done here. Now, I'd appreciate comments below regarding your thoughts on this vlog, and if there's any questions you think I may be able to answer, contact me either here in the YouTube comments or my Facebook page or email, or however you want to contact me. You can slip an envelope under the gate at night, but then you're already here. Never mind. So I hope at least one little item here has been helpful to at least one person out there. And enough of my talking head. Thanks for watching, and actually I'd be interested to know how many of you watched this far. Okay, have a good one. See you in the next one.